Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Network, and do you know what franchise have been snubbed by Nintendo? Well, yes, but not what I'm talking about today. That too, but no. Okay, this joke could last for a long time sadly, but today we're talking about Star Fox. I'll probably get to those later, but why is it that a franchise that was in the base roster of the original Smash Brothers, which only had 8 base fighters to represent the 8 biggest franchises Nintendo had at the time, having so much trouble anymore? Why is it that the franchise keeps rebooting? And most importantly, where could the franchise go if there even is a future for Team Star Fox? Well, let's find out. To look forward, let's look into the past. The Star Fox franchise has only had 7 mainline games, and that is including Star Fox 2, which is somewhat debatable, but it has been released twice, so sure. And I'm not counting Star Fox 64 DS, as it is just 64 on the DS. The series has had 2 reboots and 7 games, as early as going from the original to 64, which, okay, is a bit confusing, but sure. Then in 2016, Wii U Star Fox Zero was a reboot again. Because who cares about world building and continuity? I mean, I get it. It's not like what was built upon in the past few games was anything worth keeping. Oh wait, that's wrong. Star Fox is rich with lore, from Fox's father to Pigma betraying the original Star Fox team, to the Aporoids and the events of Star Fox Assault. That game had a lot on the line for the characters. Friends and comrades were being assimilated by the Aporoid threat. Pigma was destroyed, but it was a hollow victory as it was an infected Pigma. Yes, he sort of came back in command, but still. The Great Fox was used in a kamikaze mission and destroyed to help Star Fox and Star Wolf in their final assaults. Command continued to build off what had happened before, having the team sort of broken up. Peppy taking over the Corneria army, Slippy finding love, Falco leaving the team to go rogue, again, because we have to have some tropes at least. Command is not perfect, and I personally hate games that do the here's X amount of endings because who cares what happens next? Let the fans shift through the continuity. Of course, Zero made that a moot point, being a reboot, a reimagining of the first game in 64. It is a nice way of saying reboot without angering the fans, but you know what, Miyamoto? We know better. I honestly haven't played Zero before, I just know what I know from online. I should probably give the game a chance before I rip into it, huh? Fine, I'll purchase and play through it. You know, after playing Zero, I'm actually a lot more mad. Not because of how bad it is, but because of the potential behind it. Look, the game has issues mostly stemming from the controls. You do get used to it over time, but it wasn't until like the 3rd mission that it started to click for me. And that is a huge problem. By the end of the first mission, I shoved the basic controls down, but again, it took me till mission 3 and a lengthy tutorial. The game itself was enjoyable. It was able to grasp onto my nostalgia and I was all for it most of the time. In the moments of playing Zero, I actually really loved it. But then, I turned it off. I got through the game once and sat there processing the game itself and was a bit mad that it was just nostalgia that was grasping me. Because one can use nostalgia to get one's attention and affirmation, but there has to be more. And that is what Zero is lacking, something more than just, hey, it's Star Fox 64 but retold a bit differently. Which isn't the worst thing, if the franchise has been given the love and attention it deserved, which we all know it hasn't. I am still annoyed that the story that was being told between 64 and Command has now been thrown away. I have made it clear in the past, and here again, I despise reboots. Stories should continue and evolve. Grow the characters as we do to connect with them. But Fox, Falco, Peppy, and Slippy are back at square one yet again. And that is surprisingly all the franchise has had to offer in general. Aside from Smash and more recently being in Starlink, Star Fox, which was at one time considered one of Nintendo's top-tiered franchises, has truly fallen from grace, when most of their games have been decent at worst. Well, here are my thoughts on that. First off, they changed up the formula too often with not enough base games with the beloved gameplay. There were 2 games, Star Fox and Star Fox 64, before they went full Zelda and had Star Fox Adventures. That is of course something to talk about another time, I promise you. Shocking, I know, I want to talk about and have an in-depth analysis of a game with dinosaurs in it. Assault brought us back and added foot missions to the gameplay. Command was touchscreen focused, which I feel made people not fully interested, and Zero, well, came really late in the Wii U's life. I truly do feel if it released earlier, it would have meant a different timeline for the franchise. People just wanted to play Star Fox. Secondly, it felt like the franchise was constantly being held hostage. Miyamoto went on record saying that if Star Fox 64 3D didn't perform well, that would have been the end of the franchise. I'm sorry, what? That is not how you treat a series. Luckily, 64 3D performed amazing. Shocking, I know, in a well-established system and a remake of a game that almost everyone loved. Thirdly, a lack of direction. After Star Fox and 64, the series was given to Rare for Adventure. Well, not so much given as Strong Arm, but we'll get to that another day. Then Namco Bandai for Assault, then Q Games for Command, who also helped with 64 3D, and then Platinum Games for Zero. I'm not saying other studios can't handle Nintendo's first parties. In fact, this has led to many amazing games, and I highly encourage it to happen from time to time. But with each game, it seems like there is a lack of what to do exactly. And sometimes it takes a company a game or two to really get something amazing. Look at Retro with the Donkey Kong series. Returns is great, but Tropical Freeze was really where the studio shined. Luigi's Mansion. Next Level Studios worked on both Dark Moon and 3. Both are good games, but 3 is miles above Dark Moon as they have learned their craft more. Not giving a studio a chance to evolve hurts the franchise and the studio. Again, not saying you can't be diverse with who makes a game, it just seems that Nintendo didn't know what to do with the franchise. So, to get back to the point of the video, what is next? Well, if we go by sales, Miyamoto probably wants to shut it down. I might be exaggerating a bit. Still, we have had no word on Star Fox and Starlink, which really was just luck that Star Fox got some attention that soon after Zero after its poor reception. But the future of the series, to myself, is simple. Go back to the roots and get the lore going again. Build the world up as it's one of its strongest attributes. The simple answer is to go back after Command, but we did technically just reboot it. And heck, Starlink is basically an alternative timeline. Geez, we're getting to the Terminator level of chaotic timelines here. So I honestly say we accept the zero bed we're in and move forward. The next game needs to rely on strong, tight controls and in-depth worlds to travel to. Honestly, the idea of Starlink is a great place to springboard from. Break the Lilat system, or even go beyond it, into different sectors. Each sector has 2 or 3 planets to explore. Depending on what you do, how much is done on different planets, it then decides what path you take next. Much like how Star Fox games have built upon in the past. Different actions affect what is next in the story. Going outside the Lilat system can easily reintroduce planet Saria back into the Star Fox mythos. This is where I feel on-ground missions need to return. I know many people say that the ground missions in Armada was the low point. I would have to disagree and also sort of agree. They were flawed and needed some work, but I think it was a welcome addition to the series, and it was a natural progression. I love the idea of continuing to evolve the gameplay. And if you're in a war spanning many planets, well, you're logically not going to fly in and bomb every planet. Getting out of your vehicle makes sense, but also having a diverse amount of vehicles is helpful. The Landmaster and the Walker from Zero are perfect. You know, after playing Zero, something occurred to me. In the first game, they killed off Andross. Yes, he returned in Adventure as a surprise twist villain. God, I'm sick of those. But the thought of Andross being killed got me thinking, how often, in the world of Nintendo, does the final boss actually die? Bowser is never killed and will just hang out with Mario to play go-karts later. Ganondorf keeps coming back or just living long enough to meet the next Link. King Dedede is oftentimes an ally to Kirby while still being his rival. K. Rool, although not being seen in the mainline game for a while, is assumingly still kicking somewhere. My point being, Nintendo loves to keep the hero and villain facing off against each other forever. Well, you killed Andross twice. How do we bring him back? Well, the smart idea is to not, and realize you're in space and have a wide variety of foes they can face. Yes, they played the board card pretty early, but I love the Anglers from Command, a race that came out of the poison seas of Venom and were created bioweapons by Andross. See, you can keep the legacy of Andross alive, finding out how his evil was reaching across the system, but let him die in the canon. Have a subplot, not the main focus of the game, on Fox getting face to face with Pigma, unarmed and weak. Fox has to battle with the hatred, revenge, and a line that if crossed might never be crossed back. Explore the characters more like this. Heck, even have his nephew Andrew eventually become a giant head like Andross in his quest to follow his uncle's footsteps. I'm writing plot lines for you, Nintendo. Please pay attention. It isn't that hard. In the end, as a Star Fox fan, I want the series to continue. I want it to evolve its gameplay, stories, and characters because they are all important to making a great series worth playing. A series worth investing in. A series worth looking forward to. Nintendo, we're asking for another chance on the Switch to show that Star Fox is loved. Give us a game without control gimmicks, on a well-established system that is not grasping onto life just long enough for the NX to be announced. I know it would sell. I know it would be well received if done right, written well, energy and love put into it. Nintendo, we're asking, no, I'm begging, to give Team Star Fox one more chance. We need them. Thank you for tuning into the Nintendo Network. What would you like to see in a new Star Fox game? And let me know what series you'd like me to go over in the next What's Next for. Make sure to comment below. If you like this, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, join the Discord, and consider helping out on Patreon. As always, this is the Nintendo Network signing off.